What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning The Dr. Vibe Show. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. I'm also a certified empowerment coach and president and CEO of Express Your Vibe Coaching and Communications. And I'm telling you, this has been a long time. It's finally arrived at the station. I've wanted to get Gerald DuBose on forever and a day. And I finally was able to stop him. Finally able to stop him. He is a man with a plan. Let me give you some background about Gerald. He's a gifted visionary on a mission to change how the world perceives beauty. He's always seen the world differently than most, and you'll hear about that tonight. He's a Washington, D.C. native. Gerald's childhood was dedicated to creativity. He began writing poetry at 8 years old, developing a genuine passion for overlooked beauty. Also known as, quote, the shy guy with a big mouth, I like that, unquote. He has built and advised several multi-million-dollar businesses over the last 2 decades. He's the author of the book, The 4 Successes, 4 Steps to Achieve Anything You Want in Life. He's also authored 2 other books, and he's actually just released another book, which we are going to hear about today or tonight. In addition to being an impassioned keynote speaker and activist, he's a business leader, sales trainer, poet, and truth seeker, and a friend of the Dr. Vibe Show. Welcome, Gerald DuBose. Welcome up, Gerald.
Well, thank you, Dr. V. It's great to finally be here with the man, the myth, the legend. Great to finally be here with the man, the legend.
Well, I don't know which one of those I am. I'm going to be a myth.
You are all 3, my brother, all 3. You are all 3.
Excellent. Well, just to tell people who are watching this live on the replay, Gerald and I have been wanting to get on a conversation together for at least over a year. And it's finally happened. We're really happy to have Gerald, as we like to say, with all our friends at Dr. Vibe. Can you give a little bit about yourself?
Sure. You know, born and raised, Washington, D.C. I've been around business for about the last 20-some years or so of my life, and kind of started my journey with being in marketing, you know, and it wasn't the glorified marketing either. It was telemarketing and door-to-door knocking. And that's kind of where I kind of cut my teeth, so to say, with business. And from there, you know, was able to do some pretty good things, got some promotions, and had the good fortune of being able to help a few companies grow and getting into business for myself and doing the same. So very short, very brief, not trying to go into a long, extended story about it.
Okay, well, I'm not going to let you get away with something so short. So we want to get a little bit more out of you. I want to ask, what was life growing up in D.C., in Chocolate City?
Oh, man. Oh, D.C., my goodness. Well, okay, well, if you want the extended version, you know, I was trying to keep it brief so we can go to other things. But growing up in D.C.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, I grew up in Northeast D.C. You know, I'm the youngest of 9, technically 10. I guess, you know, I had a twin sister, actually, that died at birth. I guess God said can't do 2 of him, so I got to take one right now. And, you know, went to D.C. public schools, actually. Went to a very well-known high school here in D.C. Played a little football, was pretty good at that, you know. Got a few accolades, I'll say, as an athlete. And that was a very big part, actually, of kind of shaping what I look at leadership as. You know, my time with football and team sports as well as with martial arts kind of gave me a very unique perspective on how I view leadership and how I view influence. Two very big things when you're trying to grow a business.
You know, that's interesting because you and I have already, I know we have a number of things in common, but that's something that I have in common with you. I did a lot of sports when I was growing up, when I was younger, but I did a lot of refereeing and a lot of coaching. And I always told players, whether they were on my own team or on other teams, take the least lessons you learn from the sports arena and apply it to everyday life, because it's not going to be any different in a lot of situations. What are your thoughts on that? Because it sounds like you took a lot of leadership lessons from back in those days.
I would completely agree with you there. A lot of the things that make you successful in sports, you know, like I said, having the good fortune of being a really highly talented athlete, are things that apply to your general life. You know, discipline is necessary. And that's where I first learned. One of my coaches, well, actually, it wasn't my coach. I can take it even back to my martial arts teacher when I was like 6 years old. And he was like, this is a very simple art to learn, but I don't want you to think that it's easy. And I was confused. I'm 6 years old. What do you mean? That simple? You just said it's simple. He was like, he said it is. It's very simple. He said, always understand that simple takes discipline. That was
I like that. Simple takes discipline. That's that. Yeah.
I didn't get it.
I like that. I mean, that yeah. That's amazing. So what? And you're one of many. Go ahead.
No, I apologize.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, simple always takes discipline. You know, if something is simple, it means that it's not difficult to understand how to do. But when something's not difficult, it takes a lot of discipline to do those things repetitively in order to achieve what you want to achieve.
So what did you get like from martial arts? Because you're one of a number of men that I've met who said the influence of martial arts had in their life. What did you get from the area of martial arts?
A whole lot of discipline. It taught me discipline, it taught me balance, it taught me patience as well.
Okay. So I have to ask, growing up amongst 9 children, how was that, man? That's not easy. How was that growing up amongst 9 kids? You're one of 9 kids. How was that experience? And how still is that experience today?
Well, excuse me. Well, one thing that was fortunate for me is that I'm the baby. So I'm the youngest. And most of my siblings were actually gone out of the house by the time I was born. So I grew up with only 3 or 4 around me. But, you know, all of my siblings were still around very heavily, except for my one sister who lives in New York. But it was very interesting to be the baby, the way people always look at it, because, you know, people always say the baby is spoiled. And I have to say, I probably did get away with a little more than maybe what they did. I also did a lot. I was a lot more creative in doing it, in approaching the way I tried things than they probably did.
So where do you remember creativity coming into your life? You remember some moments or events where creativity became part of your life?
Oh, absolutely, several. The first one I can point directly to is what made me start writing poetry. At the age of 8, there was a movie that came out in 1983. Myself, I have no problem. I am proud to be over 40 years. In 1983, a movie came out called The Outsiders, and it had every star of the 80s and 90s was just about in that movie. And it had Tom Cruise, Ralph Macchio, you know, C. Thomas Howell, Patrick Swayze, all these guys. But the movie was really about, you know, a group of kids from so-called tracks versus the well-to-do kids. But in that movie, they had Robert Frost's poem. They found a poem, and it was "Nothing Gold Can Stand." And so more than half of the movie, they were trying to figure out what this poem meant. And the first time I heard that poem at 8 years old, when they said it, I just said, oh my gosh, I want to make words like that. And I picked up a pen and started trying to write. And my words weren't quite that pretty at 8, but they sounded really pretty to me, and I was excited. In love with words ever since.
So are you still writing poetry to this day?
Absolutely. It's my therapy.
Nice. So what, with that talent that you developed at a young age with poetry, did you start doing poetry in front of people, or was it just something you wrote and kept to yourself?
Originally, when I was young, because again, very shy guy, I was very much to myself. I didn't really share a lot of the poetry. I tried, actually, let me correct myself. I actually tried to share with some of my family and a couple of my close friends when I was like 10, 11 years old. They're like, man, nobody want to hear that Shakespeare stuff. Who are you supposed to be? What you think you, Edgar Allan Poe? You call me Edgar Allan, no. And so it kind of deterred me from wanting to share my writing with other people for a while.
And when did you break that barrier of sharing? Remember when you broke that barrier, began to break that barrier?
Yeah, I do. It was in high school, and I decided to really go back into writing really hard and heavy. And I fell asleep in history class. And I wrote this poem. and I was very close with one of my teachers there. And I went and shared the poem with her after I fell asleep in class. And she was like, whoa, this is amazing. You wrote this. I didn't say it. I gave it to her. And she said, wow, you know what? I want to put this in the next school program. And I want you to say it. I said, oh, no, I'm not getting up on stage in front of 600 kids saying nothing. She said, no, you're going to do this, Gerald. I said, no, Gerald is not. She said, well, will you be willing to allow someone else to read it? And I said, sure. So she gave it to another kid who's in drama and allowed him to share it with the school. And the crowd, I was standing way in the back because I knew it was work, but I still didn't want to be near the front just in case it went really bad. And they really loved the poem. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. So this is interesting. And that gave me a little more confidence to want to deal with, being able to utilize that skill. So eventually about 4 years later is when I began performing poetry. So that I could say is, I can point to being the catalyst to me moving towards wanting or being willing to share my work and my words and my opinions with the world.
How did you begin? How were the early days of marketing for yourself? What interested you to get the world of marketing at an early age?
Honestly, just trying to make some extra money. It wasn't like, oh, I want to be in marketing. It was not that kind of pristine, crystal clear thing for me. It was an opportunity to make some extra money. When I come out of high school, I was actually working for another company, and he made me an accounts manager. So I'm always looking for a way to try to supplement my income at that point, to make even more money, because I came out of high school. Somebody assigned me a position. I was making pretty decent money, but I wanted to really be able to afford the lavish things that I was trying to live, which I was outliving my means, but I wanted to be able to afford that. So I got into marketing that way. So my brother introduced me to somebody, and they put me in telemarketing, and I hated it. It sucked. I couldn't stand it. I said, you know what? This is not for me. I apologize that I even bothered to waste you guys' time. Let me go do something else. But my manager there gave me another life lesson. He pulled me to the side and he said, Gerald, you can't quit. I said, yes, I can, because I quit. He said, no, I'm not going to let you quit. He said, because you have something that most people don't have. He said, and I promise you, these are the words that stuck with me. These words right here. He said, I promise you, if you stick with this, this is something you can take with you anywhere that will help you with anything. And I was confused, but I said, all right, Horace, I'll give it 2 weeks. He said, you just got to give me your all, and I promise you it'll change your life. And it really did, because it taught me communication on a level that I didn't understand before.
Wow, that's a great story. Is that gentleman still alive?
Oh yeah, he's still alive. Great guy. Really helped. I've had good fortune of running into people that really helped shape and mold my process around a lot of things. And had he not pulled me aside, I probably wouldn't be speaking and knowing a lot of the things that I do now, because it was learning the art of communication. If you can talk to anybody that doesn't know who in the world you are and convince them to give you 20, 30, 45 minutes of their time on the phone to give you all of their information, you can do anything in this world. You can communicate definitely with somebody about what their problem is and how to help them solve their problem, because you just communicated with someone that had no clue you were calling. You interrupted their day, and they chose to give you 30 minutes time because you compelled them to do so. It's amazing ability to influence people. So I learned a lot.
So let me ask, we'll chat for the rest of the conversation about marketing and leadership. I want to continue on the marketing journey. When did you realize that it was time for you to do marketing on your own instead of somebody else, or doing it for somebody else?
Well, that happened in year 2001. I was running, excuse me, marketing for a company that was doing pretty well. You know, we had just done $27 million in collective revenue, about $45 million. I thought that, hey, I got it on easy street here. And one of the owners that we didn't get along with called me and basically said, you know, hey, we need to have a conversation. And he asked me, Gerald, did we just give you a bonus check for $6,000? And I said, yes, you did. And he said, why the blank did I just pay you an extra $6,000? So I gently told him, well, not so gently told him that, well, because lazy behind us and sleep at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm opening your office. When you finally roll over at 9 o'clock and decide that you're going to call the office, I can already tell you what's going on in St. Louis, what happened in Indianapolis, what happened in Chicago, what's happening in Maryland and Virginia, how many leads we have out, how much money was collected. And none of those offices you had before I sat behind down in your seat to be your marketing director. I said, you paid me $6,000 because last year, as a company, you did $1 million in generated revenue. Last month alone, we sold $4 million and over $4 million and collected over $2.5 million. That's why you paid me $6,000. And then he gave me my life-changing words. He said, I'll see you make $100,000 working here, Gerald. You've already made that. I'll see you make 150. He said, but I don't care how much money you make me. I will never see you make $200,000 working here. I changed my life. That gave me a perspective on how people value or place value on what you bring to the table. And at that point, I said, nobody will ever be able to tell me what I'm worth again, except for the price that I asked them to pay me for my value. So I told him, I said, well, that's fine. As of Monday, you find somebody else to run the marketing department. So in January 2002, I started my first company.
And what was that first company?
We were doing home remodeling and construction. We were doing home, and it was a very interesting journey. I was, it sucked the first 6 months, man. The first 6 to 8 months, because I couldn't pay myself. You know, it was a horrific time to go from making well over $100,000 to making nothing, and you can even buy a cheeseburger. is an eye-opening experience, to say the least. But you know, the fact is that
so Gerald, during those times, during those times, what kept you going when you weren't making enough to really afford anything? What kept you going back then?
That other people believed in my dream enough to quit their job and come and be with me. That other people that were grown, that had children and grandchildren, believed in me enough to say, we're going with you. That was a lot for a 26-year-old kid, to have the lives of real grown people in their hands, in my hands. You know, that they're believing in my dream, in my drive, in my vision. So I couldn't let them down. I had to keep going, even though I couldn't eat.
So, yeah, I hear you. So do you remember, and I really want to focus on this because I want people who are watching this live or on replay to realize that entrepreneurship, especially early days, is not easy. What was the turning point back in your first entrepreneur venture? Do you remember that moment?
Say one more time. It broke up a little bit.
No problem. Just asking, what was the turning point for your first entrepreneurial venture? You said for the first 6 months you weren't making money. Remember when it began to turn around or go in the right direction?
Yeah, in August. It took about 7 months for me to be able to really even take any type of money to be able to pay myself. And I was so excited because, you know, the first 6 months cost me a lot. You know, I lost a house. You know, it was a lot of things going on those first 6 months. You know, it was a lot. So the fact that I was profitable enough to be able to pay myself really stoked a bigger fire to push me to keep going even further and take that thing to the next level.
So how long did you stay with that venture, and what was the next venture after that?
Well, the next venture after that actually was going into computers, hardware and software. And that was an interesting journey right there. That was pretty, excuse me, interesting, because I had no clue what that was about. It was just a buddy of mine kind of came to me and was like, hey, you know, I know a way we can make some money. And we can make money. He said, you know, I don't know how to set up that business, but I know how to get contracts. I said, well, you know what, if you help setting up the business, I can help you with that. That's the easy part. And we kind of partnered that.
Okay, everyone, Gerald's connection is not 100%, so we're just going to see if we can get him back on conversation. So Gerald was just sharing some of his entrepreneurial journey, and we were just before the signal dropped on his end, he was talking about his second entrepreneur journey, talking about computer hardware and software. So we're just going to wait to see if we can get him back on the line. Okay. We'll give it another few moments to see if we can get him back. If not, we'll have to cut our conversation short. Well, thank you, Dr. Faya, as we like to call him. We're trying to get him back on. You have any questions for him? Okay, it looks like Gerald is back, I believe. Okay, we've got an invite sent to Gerald. We're going to see. Oh, here he comes. Okay, we got you back. Got you back.
Yeah, a little technical difficulty.
Just a little. You were telling us about your venture into hardware and software before your signal cut off. So you can continue from there.
Oh yeah. So met a guy who was telling me about that he knew how to get into the government contracting field, and that he had several different contracts and ways to approach getting contracts that he did not know how to set up. And me having already started one thing, I was like, oh well, shoot, I know how to set up a company if it's that simple. And he said, okay. And so we set up a company, and we kind of partnered up. Got him with one other guy. I went and negotiated some deals with some distributors, and boom, we were in business. And within 3 months, we had won like $750,000 in contracts. So it was pretty awesome thing to be able to do.
It sounds like you've gone into ventures where you didn't have a lot of experience. Was that done on purpose?
You said that I've gone into ventures where I didn't have experience?
Yeah, because you mentioned about hardware, software, and you said you knew nothing about hardware and software. And I don't know if you had any experience. Yeah, there you go. Did you have any construction, building, all that?
In construction, yes. The company I had left was a home remodeling construction company. So that's why those people were so willing to back my vision. That's why, all the people that came, the salespeople, the thieves, all those people knew from the other company. So they knew about my marketing experience, my ability to be able to get them in front of people that can help them make money.
Okay. And how long did that venture last for, the hardware and software?
Still going.
Still, oh, okay. So what keeps you in that area, hardware and software?
Well, the fact is, honestly, it's a great income stream, and it doesn't take a lot of effort on my part to be able to sustain that income stream. Have people that deal with that for the most part. Every now and then you get involved, you talk to a contractor, and other than that, That's it.
Okay, great. Do you want to share the name of the business, or you want to keep it private? Because people, I know you're always looking for business.
Well, that's strictly with government contracting, so there's no need to share that.
Understood. You can't go wrong with government. No, you can't go wrong with government money, right?
Right. Absolutely not.
Okay. So let me ask about the New Wealth Order. What is the New Wealth Order all about?
You said who asked? I'm trying to see.
No,
I was trying to reply.
What is the new? Okay, we've got some questions. We've got enough. Okay.
Well,
yeah,
the New Wealth Order.
Yeah, let's do that first, and we'll get to the question.
Well, the New Wealth Order is a company. We do training, workshops, and coaching, and business coaching, business and leadership coaching. New Wealth Order was designed to kind of be the legacy piece in the crown jewel, so to say, of the entrepreneurship pieces. And it was really a birth from Steve Jobs passing away. You know, we were kind of riding up in the mountain and heard Steve Jobs die, and I felt like I lost one of my friends for some reason. And I felt that way because this really changed how we receive our information. And, you know, this man truly, you know, they always say that one person can the world, but this man, this man here truly changed the world. And I started thinking, you know, like, what can I do? What can I do a piece of me with this world? What is my name really going to mean to people beyond my friends and beyond my family? And I started thinking, well, I know business. I can help people really get their businesses and stuff started. So I decided that I wanted to teach people about how to do business, and that was going to be through coaching. And I wanted to make coaching affordable, so I set it up, and I said we're going to change how the landscape of wealth is shaped in the country. So that's where New Order comes from.
You know what? I'm going to get to some of the questions right now. The Dr. Anita Jakes is asking. First of all, she asked, what advice do you have for new Black entrepreneurs just starting out in the game?
I would say first, make sure you have a vision for where you want to take first. It's so important that you have a clear sight of where you want to take things, because if you don't, people can't really get on board and support you. And I believe that's one of the main issues that a lot of entrepreneurs have. They can't get the support clear. And when you aren't clear, people can't support you. There's no way to support something that seems off kilter. There's no way to support something that seems cloudy. How can I get behind you if you don't know where you're going? So that would be the first thing I would say.
With the people that you coach in regards to entrepreneurship, obviously that's one of the challenges they have. Are there any other common challenges you see with new entrepreneurs?
Okay, a lot of them say that one more time. I apologize.
No problem. I'm just saying, what other challenges do you hear from new entrepreneurs that you coach, or they come up to you for advice?
What challenges do I hear? Oh, several. I mean, you know, a lot of people.
Yes.
They can't get funded. You know, obviously, one major thing is putting together an marketing plan of how to be found. They cannot figure out how to get their business in front of people, and even know how to get their business in front of people, have problems getting to commit to wanting to be clients, to wanting to buy into their process. So there are those three things are the main things. Capital, because everybody has cash flow problems when you first start. I don't care who you are, whether you're Apple, whether you're Mike, cash flow is always going to be an issue. So cash flow. Then there's marketing. How do I get in front of the people? Who do I present my products to? Then the last part is I'll always, how do I convert once I get in front of them? How do I get them to a yes? How do I transform possibility into actual cash? So those are the main three things that I see them struggling.
You've been an entrepreneur a long time. I'd like to know, especially when it comes to the cash flow piece, how have the approaches on getting cash flow changed from the time that you started to be an entrepreneur? It's a different way of doing it today compared to when you started. Could you comment on that?
Well, now there are several different avenues to get funding so that you can be somewhat liquid. You know, there's crowdfunding, there is crowd lending, crowdfunding. You know, back in 2002, there was none of that type of stuff. You didn't have it, and the bank wouldn't give it to you, and you couldn't find an investor or somebody that just believed in you enough to give you the capital. You had to try to earn it. Now, there are some industries and some businesses now set up where the overhead is low, especially service industry type of business, where you can perhaps be able to fund the business off the backs of getting enough clients in the door. But that's if you are starting out on your own and don't have. So, what a lot of people are, because there are a lot of people that are just and starting companies, and they are in it by themselves. So your overhead is relatively low. So the thing then at that point is to be able to price position yourself for profit. And that's a major mistake that a lot of startup solo entrepreneurs make, is pricing. They don't price themselves enough to be able to pay themselves and sustain the business as well. So that's one of the main issues that they run into.
Another area that's important for entrepreneurs is leadership, and I know you're very passionate about that. Can you give a few moments on talking about how important leadership is as an entrepreneur?
Oh, it's imperative. It is the very foundation of being able to be a successful company. You know, now if you're going to be in it by yourself, again, even then you still have to be a good leader, because if you can't motivate yourself, you will not be able to motivate other people. I promise you that. So, excuse me. Leadership is very important in setting the tone, because that's what people buy into. You know, we talk a lot about culture and creating a culture in a company, and that starts with the leadership. What are you? What do you value as an individual? What do you value as the type of service, and whom do you value? Those three things have to be etched in stone inside of your company vision, inside of your company mission, because that's what people buy into. Think about like the New England Patriots. As much as many people that hate them, you cannot get their success. And some people hate that it's so rigid in there. You're not going to get to be on Twitter talking trash to the other guys, the teams. They're not going to have that. Their culture is very professional. They are about one way, one sound, and we're all going to play our positions a certain way. Google is very free-spirited. They want people to be able to utilize their gifts and not feel confined. So they ride around on scooters. They have it's a huge campus at Google that they get to go out and they play and they have a nap room at Google. So that's part of their culture. So leadership is what sets the tone for culture. And if you don't instill your values, instill the vision, and make it clear for people to follow, then I guarantee you won't be able to grow anything.
How much of a, I guess, gap, or how much is leadership lacking in not only the corporate, just in corporate world or the business world, in your opinion, these days?
It's lacking a lot, even in some of the larger companies, which is why these companies do have leadership training or take part in leadership training. Even school boards are getting involved. Like, we're working with some school boards here in the local area, and we're going to be doing leadership training. But leadership is lacking because people are so concerned with just the figures. The figures will figure right when you figure out what matters to you as a company and what matters to you as an individual. That's what sets the tone. Inside of that, they just focus on the bottom line. Well, we can cut this and we can cut that and we can cut this. No, the first thing you need to cut is clear-cut understanding of where the heck you see this company going. So I know that I feel secure in putting my talents, my hard work, my energy, and my effort here to make you and help you grow this thing. But a lot of people have fallen. They just think it's all about, oh, I got a great plan. Okay, you got a great plan. Do you have a great vision with that plan? Because the plan is part of a vision. Let me clarify that. The plan is part of it, but where do you see it in a year? What are the markers so that your people know? This is how we know we're going in the right way. That culture, that's leadership. And a lot of people aren't doing leadership right now.
So with the whole area of leadership, do you see younger people? I guess let me cycle back. When you deal with younger people in the area of leadership, what skills are they lacking that you empower them and equip them with?
You said, what are young people lacking?
Yes, when it comes to leadership, in your opinion.
Well, the first thing, in order to be a great leader, you have to first become a great follower. You have to be teachable. And a lot of younger people running into the challenge of wanting to listen. They think that YouTube is the end all be all. Well, I can learn whatever I need to learn on YouTube. I know what you're talking about, and that goes down the road of something I talk. There's a big difference between reading and hearing something and comprehension. There's a reason why you have professors at schools. It's not because you can't read the book for yourself. It's that 95% of the people don't comprehend the material well enough without someone there that has the full understanding to help them get it from implied knowledge to applied knowledge. See, there's an implication when you read it. Oh, I've read that. But if you read it and you don't understand it, you can't do anything with it. And that is part of the bridge that we are fighting with some of our young people. They think they can watch a video. They think all they have to do is read this book. They think all they have to do is watch someone do something, and I've got it. If you don't understand it, you don't have it. I don't care how many times you watch it. I don't care how many times you read it. You still need someone that has done it to help you get it. that is one of the first points, is that they don't want to follow anybody, that they just want to start marching and treading their own path. When in order to be a great leader, you have to first be a great follower. Doesn't matter who you are.
I know our time is beginning to round. I want to make sure I get a chance for you to share about. You had a big event about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. Do share that with us.
Oh yeah, the event was my actual book launch. Yes, the formula for success: 4 simple steps to achieve anything you want in life. I had the book launch here in Virginia. It was excellent. We had a very good turnout, and I was so excited to be able to share with people, the opportunity to talk about my views and things I lead to a successful life in general, not just in business, but anything. These are principles that I've utilized and that I've seen utilized that have helped people achieve on very high levels all across the achievement spectrum.
When we talked offline, you said, finally, I got this book finished. How long did it take you to write this book?
Well, the actual book probably took a few months to write, about 3-4 months, and it was interesting because it's my first, business book, my first foray into like personal development and train a book. I do it all day. That's what I do. I coach and I train people, but I hadn't put it in a book format to be sent out to the world. So I needed it to be a very pragmatic approach to a bird's eye view of what success looks like and the shaping of that. So it was a fun journey though. It was definitely fun.
Let me ask, why did you decide to write the book now? Was there a reason that you picked this time in your journey to write the book?
Yeah, I mean, it was just that I felt it was time to share some of the business ideas and stuff because people hear about it and they're like, oh, well, you got 7 companies, and how do you do that? Blah blah blah. What makes you do it? What are some of the things you do? And I said, well, one of the easy to share that is in a book, is to share it with in a way that people can make it applicable to their life, and not just a lot of rhetoric, not just me talking and espousing, theories and concepts, but to talk about the theories, talk the concepts, and now let's make it practical. Because it doesn't matter what is done for me if you can't take it and use it right away for your life. And that's pretty much why I felt it was important to do that, because I had been getting questioned on, like, well, how, most people can't get 7, how's that working?
Excellent. Another question from Dr. Anita Jake Davis. She wants to know, was there anyone who was instrumental in supporting you in your business ventures along the way?
Oh, several people that supported me. I mean, are we talking financially? Are we talking, as I said, I was one of
anybody.
Yeah,
anybody who. Yes.
Okay. Well, as I said, I was one of the few people I know that when I left to start my company, I was not a solo entrepreneur. I started with a full staff of people. People put their lives in my hand. When I said I was leaving, I had admins, sales guys, crew chiefs that all came with me. So I didn't go in a venture where I had the opportunity, but it's just me. I'm good no matter what. No, these people had grandkids and kids and children and wives and husbands. I'm responsible to make sure they're able to feed their families. So yes, they supported me all along the way. They said, if you're there, I'm there. And for that, I would be forever indebted for them believing in me and my vision enough to say, we're going to take that leap with you because it's you.
Anyone else that's been influential along the way?
Oh my gosh, so many influential people. I mean,
you could name a few.
I mean, okay. My CEO at my last company is my most trusted advisors. He has always been a bit of almost like a secondary father figure to me in business. A lot of the things I've learned, I was able to glean from him. You know, him talking to me about, you know, finances even, and how to manage his money as it's growing, because he's been pretty well off for a very long time. Helped me shape my views about what I want to do with money, how I want to see the business grow. There is, of course, you know, your virtual mentors, you know, as Coach Jenny and we call him Uncle Tony. Tony Robbins had a major influence, you know. Wayne Dyer, you know, big influence. My father and mother shaped a lot of things for me in my formative years. My sister Dee Dee just was always kind of as my listening ear and the kick in the butt when I needed it. She has no problem doing that. So a lot of people along the way that have really pushed me along, gave me some guidance. And in the book, I list a ton of resources of people that I feel influenced my path to success.
Well, I know you're not 100%, so we're going to wind it down pretty quick here, and I really appreciate you taking the time, but I do have one more last conversation piece for you. How important are relationships when it comes to entrepreneurship?
I will answer that by posing another question. Isn't the most important questions that anyone ever ask themselves and ask other people? Does your network work? And
Enough said.
It's a concept. Do the people around you enhance or detract from your life, from your success? It is so to associate with the right people and to have the support, the encouragement, and their belief in you in order for you to succeed. Because otherwise you can't get anywhere, because none of us can do this thing called life, much less business, by ourselves. You can't, it's impossible. So to be able to go where you want to go, you have to have a team of people that believe, support, and will advocate for you. It's no other way possible for you to achieve what it is you want without that. Now, I am not aware, though, and that's a different subject, so we won't even go down the kilt line. But I am definitely not a kilt wearer.
We'll leave it at that, Gerald. I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your positive, productive schedule. Finally, after a year and a half, we finally got you on here. Like to thank you for everything you've done, you're doing, and what you're going to be doing. Do you have any final words, and do you want to share any contact information?
Oh, absolutely. If someone would happen to want to get in touch with the shy guy with the big mouth, you can find on Twitter at Gerald, the letter D, NWO. That's at Gerald D, the letter NWO. On Facebook, you can find me at Gerald DuBose. Also, if you would like to get in touch with me anywhere else in the space that we like to call cyber, you can find me at thenewwealthorder.com, THE, newwealthorder.com. And if you would like to pick up the book, you can go right to theorder.com/resources, and you can pick up the formula for success. It's sitting right there. And I would love your support because I'm trying to touch 20,000 lives this year.
Excellent. And before I give the sign off, a shout out comes from a friend of ours online. Claude Diamond says a big hello to you.
Big Claude, how are you, friend?
Yeah, Claude Diamond, he told me to say hello and said he hopes that you're doing fine. So that's a big shout out. Gerald's giving you the contact information. I am Dr. Vibe. I'm the host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. As always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. I'm the host of Epic Conversations. The Dr. Vibe show is home of Epic Conversations. If you want to touch base with me, 3 best ways: Twitter at DRVIBESHOW, website address www.thedrvibeshow.com, email dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. I'm also a certified empowerment coach. If you want to get in touch with me for some empowerment coaching, feel free. As always, I'd like to say God bless, peace be well, keep the faith. And also, too, remember, sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Gerald, thank you so much for taking the time. We will keep in touch. God bless.
Absolutely.
And hope you feel understood.
Thank you very much.
Good night. You're welcome. Good night.